Welcome to the WealthStack Podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Rosic, Director of WealthStack Content and Solutions. And today we are exploring how modern philanthropy is being reimagined and what that means for advisors guiding clients through charitable giving. The philanthropic landscape is evolving so fast and technology is just finally catching up. And to unpack it all, I'm joined by Sarah Angello, co-founder of Daffodil, a company on a mission to help move philanthropic capital further and faster. So, Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled about this.
Well, I've been very much looking forward to this conversation, especially because this is an area of the tech world that I am just continuously learning about, and we're seeing a ton of interesting solutions crop up. But before we even get there, I do want to ask you the probably most challenging question you'll have this entire conversation, because I want to know, our listeners want to know, what makes Sarah, well, Sarah, both personally and professionally?
Well, let's see. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Angello, co-founder of Daffodil. And before I got to this point of launching Daffodil last year with my two co-founders, I spent more than 15 years working directly in fundraising. So that meant I spent my time working directly with nonprofits, foundations, generous individuals and families who wanted to give to charity. I worked with organizations in East Africa. I worked for Grammy Award-winning orchestras, really all type of different organizations and people moving philanthropic capital before I moved into working into technology and then co-founding Daffodil. Now I am based in Denver, where Daffodil is building technology that bridges wealth management and giving and helping advisors and donors make giving an ongoing part of their financial lives.
Love it. Well, a fellow Denverite. So even outside of this world of charitable giving and philanthropy, what else gets you going, personally?
Well, ski season has just started. So today, October 31st, is opening day at one of my favorite local mountains. And as a good Coloradan, I'm pretty excited about that.
I love it. Yeah, it feels like skiing out here has become a bit of a Hunger Games challenge. I remember when I first moved out here, you could get in the car, a little before 6 a.m. and still make it by first chair. And now if you want to do that on a weekend, you have to leave at about 4 a.m. And if you're lucky, you'll make first chair. So I'm still trying to navigate that because I also love skiing. I always said when I moved out here, it's going to be a long winter if I don't learn how to do this. So here we are. But what's your favorite mountain then? I have to ask.
I'm a winter park weekend warrior. So
I love it. I love it.
My tips are just like give up on first chair. Like I don't even go for it. So we aim to get there when we get there. Have a nice day. Leave before any regrets happen. And just enjoy it. It's supposed to be fun.
I love it. You have a plan when you go. All right. I've gone down a ski tangent, but I want to bring it back to Daffodil. If you wouldn't mind, give listeners an overview of Daffodil and just the company's mission. How does it differentiate itself in the philanthropic giving ecosystem?
Thanks for that question. So Daffodil launched about 1 year ago, and we have a really simple mission that you touched on earlier, and that is to move charitable dollars further, faster. And we focus on donor-advised funds, also called DAFs, as a component of this. Most of the charitable giving ecosystem still treats philanthropy just as a transaction. It's a year-end gift. It's helping a client open a donor-advised fund. It's a one-time transaction that is mitigating a tax burden. But Daffodil focuses on the planning, the execution, and what happens next. We give ongoing visibility into what giving is really accomplishing. What makes our solution different is Daffodil's tech first, and we utilize data that nonprofits are already creating. That means information from their websites, emails, formal reporting tools like an IRS Form 990, continuous surveying, social channels. All of this information we use to surface real-time impact updates that's zero burden on the nonprofit, but gives really critical information for those that are donating and their advisors. So this means that client giving doesn't disappear into a black box. You see actual progress unfold. And for advisors, this is part of your ongoing client conversations. So while other platforms support that transaction, just opening a DAF and funding it, or moving a transaction, moving a donation, We do all that, but help you stay connected to what happens next. So charitable giving becomes an active and ongoing part of wealth management, not just a once-a-year checkbox.
So then from your vantage point, what does it mean to be a tech-forward giving platform today? And maybe just how is that different from how philanthropy has traditionally operated within the wealth management ecosystem and for advisory firms?
That's a great question. And for one thing, we start at the digital payment processing, and then we back up to physical checks as a very last resort, which is quite different from legacy processes. We go beyond just that transaction of making the donation and give donors and advisors that ongoing view into impact. We're also AI native. That means we leverage AI tools across all of our internal operations, not only to keep our overhead low, but to incorporate AI in our products to enhance that experience. Where other stakeholder firms might start just with that relationship, we start from the data set and then facilitate storytelling from there. So this scales much more efficiently. And then we deepen relationships personally where we know we can have that greater impact.
So if I were an advisor and strapping that hat on, what value does a platform like this bring to them?
I love that question. And this is the perfect time of year for any advisor to ask this. Mainly, if you're an advisor, integrating giving isn't just about values and those warm fuzzies of talking about nice things. It's a really strategic choice for your business and for your clients. Clients who talk about philanthropy with their advisors, they are stickier, they are happier, they are more engaged. Advisors who support charitable giving tend to have 6 times median assets and better growth. And that's because when you are helping someone align wealth with their purpose, you are not just managing assets. You are really managing meaning. And that deepens trust. It deepens trust across generations, strengthens retention, and it can really also bring those assets under management because clients are going to consolidate charitable and investment planning under one roof. So we give advisors that data, visibility, and ability to execute to make that part of every conversation. So generosity becomes a relationship builder and not just an afterthought at the end of the year.
Well, I love that you said that about you're managing meaning. That's the first time I've heard that. So I think that's incredibly impactful. So I do appreciate the background, the context. And so I do want to dive into our first official segment that I call Stats All Folks. And I have two that I would like us to unpack. And it was fun kind of digging into this for me and learning a little bit more about this world. So, like I said, I just want to anchor our conversation in a few data points and came across one that said donor advised funds now hold around 250 billion in charitably restricted assets, a roughly 400% increase over the past decade. And the other one I stumbled across is that research shows that only 23% of adults discuss charitable giving with their financial advisors. So, with those in mind, from your perspective, what are the biggest opportunities for advisors around philanthropy today? And even correspondingly, what are the biggest gaps or friction points?
Shannon, I am going to pair your stats with some of my own here
Oh,
and
love it.
also give us a quick history lesson about donor advised funds. So DAFs have really exploded in popularity. You mentioned this 400% increase over the last decade, but they've been around for almost 100 years. The first donor advised fund cropped up in, I think, 1932 at the New York Community Trust. And that explosion of growth and that 400% increase over the last decade, that comes down to the democratization of DAFs as a vehicle that become increasingly accessible for households that give. So for these individuals who want to talk about their advisors with philanthropy, more than 90% of these households say they want to talk about giving, and only 6% say that their advisors have asked them. That is a massive opportunity because talking to your clients about their giving adds so much dimension to your relationship. Like we said, it adds meaning. It helps you understand their motivations and vision and the impact they want to have with their wealth. And here's that other stat that I mentioned earlier. Advisors who include philanthropic planning in their practices have 6-time median assets, and their clients report higher satisfaction and longevity. This is all from a really terrific Fidelity report that came out a year or so ago. So when I talk to advisors about philanthropy and how they include this in their practices, most tell me they either don't talk about it at all, they might supplement some conversations with a quick Google, or they just refer out to a specialist. But the ones that do talk about philanthropic planning tend to just suggest a vehicle or an amount, plop this into a DAF, or maybe consider using a trust for this. And it's just purely transactional. But really, this is an opportunity to lean in. Ask about goals. Are they happy with this level of giving? What do they want to accomplish? How can you help them with this? And this is where Daffodil really comes in, where we can be that partner for advisors.
Well, it seems like when philanthropy is siloed from the broader wealth management process, advisors really do miss that chance to align it with things like estate planning or retirement income or personal values and those legacy goals. And I would imagine it certainly would deepen trust and, open that intergenerational dialogue, which can often lead to that more sophisticated planning opportunities. So again, going back to the value, I can certainly see it. But I do want to go back to DAFs because I'm sure you've heard this one a fair amount, that quote unquote DAFs are broken. So please myth bust this and maybe quell some fears here.
I'm really happy to do that, Shannon. DAFs have gotten a very bad rap in the last few years. There's about 250 billion, probably more, given the market this year, currently held in donor advised funds. Critics say that this is hoarding assets that are intended for charitable purposes, and that the spirit of a DAF is to move dollars out to the qualified entities to receive them. That's usually 501c3 organizations. You hear a number of opinions that the IRS should add payout regulations to DAFs, like they do for private foundations. But here's where the myth busting is interesting. Without any of those regulations, more than 20% of DAF assets are paid out every single year. That is without any kind of rules forcing them to do this. So in comparison, American foundations are required to pay out 5% of assets per year. And that's exactly what they do. They do the legal minimum. Most DAF holders, when you really look at the data here, they treat their donor advised funds account like a reservoir. They fill them up with charitable assets, they pay them down over a few years, and then they tend to refill them. With the tax code changes that we're seeing coming in 2026, strategically moving assets into a donor advised fund for like front loading and for that type of management, that can be a really wise choice for a lot of households. And we're hearing a lot of those conversations are happening.
And do you think that just the incentives are off for doing something like this, and that's why folks have a challenging time wrapping their heads around DAFs?
I think it's the numbers. Like people see $250 billion are held in DAFs, and that just kind of makes people want to take action. They think those dollars should be out into the world. They should be out doing the intended purpose. But when you take a step back, like they really are moving. They might be moving slower than some would like, but they're moving a lot faster than other dollars that are restricted for a charitable purpose.
Makes sense. So in your view then, how will impact evolve from being, a nice to have to being central? For example, clients demanding to see how their dollars created measurable change, not just returns. What does that shift mean for advisors, tech, and messaging and the overall process?
I think this is a really critical question that every advisor should be asking themselves, especially when they look at their clientele and where they see their growth happening over the next few years. There is a massive generational shift happening right now. And the way that next gen clientele, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, think about their dollars, there's an expectation of impact here. There's an expectation of what their dollars do and visibility into it. You look at the growth of impact investing, you look at the shifts in giving itself and how much millennials give to charity. There's a real shift happening here. And clients want visibility into how their giving is measured, what it does, and how it's part of their overall financial picture. We're really excited by that shift and that evolution. And it's a big part of why we decided this was the right time to launch Daffodil and bring it out into the world.
Absolutely. And you actually recently made the infamous Kitsy's Advisor Tech map.
Yes,
So congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
And I mean, looking at that map, it truly does give a whole new meaning to being put on the map. But in all seriousness, why is it important to spotlight this newer tech segment?
Well, thanks so much for calling that out. We were really, really pleased to make it on the map. It's a big step, and the whole team over there was thorough and just really great to work with. And there's a whole growing segment of tech solutions here that are helping advisors, managers, and even personal financial tools integrate giving and philanthropic solutions into an overall financial picture. It's really a huge step for recognizing that this is a critical place, a critical part of the overall financial picture. So seeing that recognition and seeing this grow as a category on the map, it's been really exciting to see happen and really shows the importance that this is gaining within the field.
So let's get a bit technical then, because many firms actually still very much struggle with fragmented tech stacks. How does Daffodil integrate or sit alongside existing stacks?
So we sit alongside what you're building as a tool for the relationships you're managing, as a way to deepen the conversations that you're having every day with clients. And we have a number of integrations on the roadmap that we're working directly with our advisors to see where we can add that immediate value. Often this is like within a straightforward CRM, but we're really learning a lot and building alongside it. We're still pretty new, so we launched last year, like I mentioned, and we're adding advisors and donors and clients frequently, and learning where we can support them and craft those integrations and enhancements to existing tech stacks as we go.
And again, because this is a tech podcast, we have to talk about it. You alluded to it earlier, but of course, AI.
Yes.
You've said that Daffodil uses advanced data and matchmaking technology to help donors really align with intent and impact. So, how are you using AI today within the platform, and what does AI enable that maybe that legacy philanthropy technology simply could not?
So that enablement piece is where you see personalization at scale and speed that was just simply not possible within any legacy solutions. So here's how we're using AI today to support that. When any individual or family or entity creates their Daffodil account, we onboard them through really simple tools to determine what sort of impact they want their giving to have. And then we build a profile with suggestions and solutions that are directly crafted and bespoke to that specific profile that's been crafted. We are recommending organizations, we are matchmaking philanthropic capital to opportunities to give in that way, and then providing specific reporting mapped directly to that donor, to that DAF, to that entity, that's personalized and rapid. And from the other side, we're able to collect all of this information, call it zero burden impact reporting. We're able to do that at scale and then deliver it back to the advisors and individuals using Daffodil, using AI to do it rapidly.
So, even beyond AI, if you had to predict one major disruption in the intersection of wealth management and philanthropy that's driven by tech, what would it be, and how should advisors prepare today?
That is a great question. And I love answering it now because in the next couple of weeks, I think that's when we're going to see all of our like big predictions for 2026 start to happen. So I think the big disruption that's coming to wealth management and philanthropy is what we think about as always on giving. So today, charitable giving and the way advisors typically approach it, it's usually reactive. It's driven by a year-end deadline, milestone event, client sells a company, there's a tax bill coming, there's an inheritance, whatever. But in the next few years, tech and those changing generational behaviors and expectations we talked about, it's going to be more proactive and part of ongoing planning. Think that for advisors, it's a shift to move from that execution to more of an impact architecture. You're going to build giving into the financial plan. Learn to talk about impact data the way you do with portfolio metrics, and partner with platforms that make that type of generosity frictionless. And that's because this next gen clientele, they're not only asking, like, can I afford to give? What amount can I give? Is this, within my planning? They're going to ask, is my giving working? What impact is it having? And the advisors who can answer that, those are the ones that are going to stand out.
Love that. So for advisors listening, there's a key
Get on
takeaway
it.
for you. Get on it. Exactly. So I know Daffodil's only, like you said, been around for about a year, but that means you must have a pretty robust roadmap and vision for where things are going. So I have to ask, what can folks expect over the next, say, 12 to 18 months?
Great question. So Daphne is a big one. That is our agentic philanthropic support. Daphne's live and evolving constantly. Our goal here is to replace paperwork and manual administration within philanthropic processes with that advanced agentic workflow. We're also enhancing our platform with increased advisor support, nonprofit fundraising and storytelling tools, and some really exciting partnerships that are helping us do this. For anyone who's familiar with Charity Navigator, they're considered the go-to evaluation and trusted source of learning more about the great nonprofits out there. We are providing their back-end impact analysis for their top 400 nonprofits. We're really excited to do that. But our roadmap is really about growth and making it easier to move any sort of charitable capital further and a whole lot faster.
And so far, a year in, what has the reception been from advisors?
We are getting a lot of great conversations, and we're having a lot of advisors that are realizing what a big opportunity this is, that a ton of their clientele are doing some type of giving. And if their advisor is not supporting this, that means that someone else is, or it's an opportunity to dive deeper in. So great conversations, and we're really honored and excited for the partners that we're supporting so far through Daffodil.
Well, Sarah, thanks for letting us get under the hood a little bit more about Daffodil, but it is time now for segment 2 of this episode that I call Ask Us Anything. And I have gone out to the social universe and asked folks to submit questions they want answered by you. And we had a couple slide into the DMs this week. So if you're ready for it, I'm going to put you in the hot seat here for a few minutes.
I am in the hot seat. I am ready, Shannon. Let's hear it.
All right. First question we got. How do you advise advisors to integrate philanthropic giving conversations into their broader client life cycle? How do they start that conversation?
This is a terrific question and a simple answer, and that is ask. Start those conversations and then follow up on them. When you see a client is giving, use that as an opportunity to learn more about their values and the impact they want to have. And then from there, you can see how they support that.
Love it. Second question we got. What's the biggest misconception you hear when it comes to charitable giving?
The biggest misconception I hear is that this is only for the ultra wealthy, that it's only useful to talk about charitable giving when you're talking about those that are giving, well into the 9-10 figures regularly. But no, Americans tend to be tremendously financially generous, especially when you look at households that are working with advisors. DAFs in particular are a tool that is extremely useful to people who are giving almost any amount to charity each year. This is not something that should be reserved only for your clients with the most capacity. It's really a useful conversation to have, and something that is a bigger component with really a vast majority of American households.
Well, I appreciate you dispelling that, because that is certainly a bias that I had before kind of researching this topic a little bit more. Is I just always assumed that you just had to have that disposable income or, be a giant company to be able to give. But that is quickly becoming not the case at all. So it's certainly encouraging to hear that this is becoming part of the more just holistic planning life cycle for advisors and their clients. So Sarah, I appreciate you being put on the spot and your insightful answers here. But we have come to our final and what might be my favorite segment that I affectionately call Stack It or Whack It. Yes, I have t-shirts to go along with it. If you'd like one, let me know.
I would, please.
So I'll have to get you one of those so we can run around Denver in them.
Yes, please send them.
Always be branding, as I like to say. But I'm actually going to throw out a few technologies, or maybe even concepts that, and be warned, they're not always WealthStack related, sometimes just random thoughts that I have. And you tell me if they are essentially worth the hype or not. So stack it, you love it, whack it, no way, lose it. So first one I've got for you, stack or whack. Monthly automated micro giving subscriptions delivered via a DAF platform.
That one is definitely a stack for me. If I had a stack button, I'd be pressing it. The reason why I say stack for that one, it's pretty clear that DAF holders love this. They love any option that makes it easier to give from their donor advised fund. Increasingly, people love monthly giving. And not only is it great for those that are on the donor side, nonprofits love monthly giving. It helps them have clarity into ongoing revenue. It helps them build relationships with their stakeholders. And what I also love about this is it helps make giving a habit and part of your regular activities, regular part of your financial life. Stack all day.
All right. Got one stack. Second one for you then. Stack or whack gamification of philanthropy.
So I thought about this one for a while. I was initially hovering over my imaginary whack button, but I'm going to move it back over to stack because what gamification does is it really helps you get excited and invested in what you're doing. And I think there's a lot within gamification for giving and philanthropy that can be really exciting to see, whether it's visibility into the impact that you're having or ways of involving your friends and family. You look at crowdfunding and the way that crowdfunding has really taken off, the way that people love sharing campaigns over social. I think that can be really exciting for anyone who's interested in supporting a cause. And it can yield to some really great results on the side of the nonprofit receiving those donations. So let's stack it.
All right. We are 2 for 2 with stack. So that button is officially now worn out. So Sarah, thank you so much for going deep with me today and getting under the hood a little bit more when it comes to this segment of wealth management. It's been a great conversation. So please tell our listeners where they can learn more about you and what you're working on at Daffodil.
Thank you so much for having me. I have really enjoyed this. This has been a ton of fun. Here is where listeners can learn more about Daffodil. One is on our website, getdaffodil.com. That's getdaffodil.com. You can create an account. You can browse around, learn more about donor advised funds and what we're doing. You can also subscribe to our newsletter there. And absolutely check us out on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, that is just looking up Daffodil. And you can find me there as well, Sarah Angello. And I like to share updates and insights about giving and donor advised funds. I would love to hear from anyone out there listening.
Well, I appreciate the information. And one more curveball question for you, because I have to ask just because I love the name so much. How did that come to fruition?
So Daffodil came to fruition when we were kind of brainstorming around DAFs. And we wanted something that connected into it, was a little on the nose, and Daffodil just kind of came right out of there. That was my co-founder, Blue Thomas's idea, I think.
Love it. I needed that context before we wrapped up. So Sarah, again, really appreciate it. And be sure to like and subscribe to the WealthStack podcast on all major platforms and follow all things WealthStack on wealthmanagement.com, LinkedIn, and X. Again, thank you all for tuning in.